Hello everyone, welcome back on my YouTube channel. In today's video I want to do together with you a recap about my RC rally season. I want to share with you my thoughts about what I'm doing good and what I'm doing wrong, and then I will show you what I'm going to change in my RC rally model for this, let's say, second half of 2024 season. If you follow my channel, you know that since 2021 to 2023 I was using the Tamiya XB01. I started RC Rally with that model and I used to develop it through 3 seasons. In fact, last year I was able to, let's say, change a few things in the setup accordingly to what I wanted to obtain. Let's say that with the chassis I reached the performance peak, and then seeing what people were using in Czech Republic, which is, in my opinion, the pinnacle of RC Rally, I switched to this converted X-Ray XB4 into RC Rally. I used to call it hybrid RC model because we have some parts from a buggy, the drivetrain, and some parts from a touring car, which is the X-Ray T3, T4. By the way, switching from Tamiya XB01 into this chassis, it has been a huge change for me because I had to readapt my driving style, but also I had to readapt my way of thinking and my way of approaching into this model, talking about my way to adapt the setup into my driving style. In this season I took part in 9 RC Rally events. I did few good things and few, let's say, bad things. For sure, one good thing was to switch to this more powerful engine, a 10.5T that has much more torque. I changed a bit the weight distribution of the chassis, placing some weights here and there, but I think that I did something bad. So, what I've noticed is that on a certain point of this RC Rally season, the gap between me and, let's say, top 3 was starting to increase a bit. And I think that's the mistake that I did, was to put 5,000 differential oil in the front and 8,000 in the rear. In this way, the car is very fun to drive. It's helpful to have this kind of, let's say, oil distribution on wet conditions. In fact, in a RC Rally, I had, let's say, a lot of fun making the model rotating in very narrow corners. So I was fighting the understeer using the harder rear oil to make the car rotate in an easier way. But from the other side, this kind of setup, at least for me, is not easy to control because there is a lot of oversteer exiting the corners, and I spent more time controlling the car rather than pushing it through the next corner. Last year with my Tamiya XB01 I was using 10,000, 5,000. It was okay, I really liked that kind of setup, but you know, you have to try things, new things, in order to understand what's right and what's wrong for you. So, in today's video, the first change I want to do on my setup is to change the differential oils. I'm going to put 7,000 in the front and 3,000 in the rear. Maybe I'm going to suffer a bit of understeer entering a corner, but I'm quite sure that with this kind of setup, with this kind of car, it's not going to be a big issue because I have a lot of grip since I worked a lot on the weight distribution. And another change I want to make, I'm going to make the rear stiffer. So I'm going to put different springs. Currently, these ones are the softer one from X-Ray XB4. They are progressive. I'm going to put the softer one at the moment that I have, but they are not progressive. What does it mean, progressive? The more the spring is compressed, the higher is the resistance that the spring, let's say, has. So with a non-progressive spring like this, it doesn't matter how much I compress the spring, let's say the stiffness is not going to change. And then another change I want to make, I'm going to put a harder sway bar. So what I've noticed, I did a test together with my friend Kuba. I copied, let's say, his setup on my model talking about the rear, and putting harder springs and a harder sway bar, I had, yes, a bit of more understeer. This is the result what I got, but the rear was much more stable and much more easier to control, let's say, in oversteer situation. Right now, when I'm talking with you, thinking about the result that I had in that test that I did a few days ago, where I put the harder rear, springs and sway bar, maybe you know what I'm going to do? I'm not going to put 7,000 in the front, but I'm going to keep 5,000 in the front, and I'm going to put 3,000 in the rear. Because right now, talking with you, I started to think, and yeah, in that test, 5,000 differential oil in the front, 8,000 in the rear. I've put a harder rear. I've increased a bit the understeer. The car was easier to drive, and the rear was much more stable. So if now I'm going to put a harder rear, it's going to increase the understeer of my model. Maybe it's not so logical to increase also the thickness on the front differential oil. So yeah, let's keep it like that. Let's just decrease the thickness of the rear differential oil, and let's see what's going to happen in the next event. Yeah, I think that's all about my overthinking for the next upcoming RC Rally. Just a reminder to leave a like in order to support my channel, and share with me your opinion in the comment section. I want to make clear another thing before starting to work on my model, is that let's say I know that it's common sense to have, let's say, a harder front with a softer rear in order to make the rear more stable. But what I've discovered with this hybrid RC model, or I don't know if it is the category RC Rally that's so different from the truck, is that sometimes here the things work in an opposite way. So in this case, a harder rear makes the model easier to drive. Okay, let's start to work on the chassis. Let's start from the rear differential. I will use this video also in order to share with you what I used to do in order to change the differential oil. I really like how easy it is to change the differential oil in this kind of chassis. I'll use this moment also to clean the rear bearings. I'm not going to do, let's say, a complete bearing cleanings, because this Sunday I'm going to have, let's say, a half off-road rally. But since we are here, I'm going to clean just the rear ones. What I do in order to clean them? First of all, with a bit of paper. Then I'm going to put them in this very cool item. And I'm going to clean them with a brake cleaner. Each one of us has his own way of cleaning the bearings. For what I do, in my opinion, is good to clean them completely, and then I put a bit of woody 40. I don't put in them any grease because they get dirty very easily, and if we have to grease oil inside them, they are going to, in my opinion, to worn out in a faster and easier way. Okay, let's clean completely the differential. Before opening a differential, I always clean it from the outside because I want to avoid any dirt to go inside it. I used to clean the differential gears in the brake cleaner too. It makes easier and faster to remove all the differential oil. Okay, everything is clean and ready. You can find a dedicated video about differentials here on my YouTube channel. Now next step is to fill the differential with the oil, 1.32 grams as X-ray suggests. If you have another model like Tamiya, try to find the correct amount of oil and always to replicate the same weight in the front and in the rear. So with this change, 5,000 differential oil in the front, 3,000 in the rear, the car is going to be much more easier to control. As in the first rally that I did this season, I was using 5,000, 2,000 if I remember correctly, and exiting the corners I was able to apply full power much more faster. Okay, now let's change the rear sway bar. So the rear is almost ready. I just need to set up in a better way the rear sway bar. I will need to adjust it in a very precise way. Okay, so we can already see that's working in a more effective way. It's still an experiment. Let's see how the rally is going to be. Let's change the springs. Okay, and the car is ready. Okay, and the model is ready. I'm going to test it in the next RC Rally, which is going to be here in Poland. I don't have any expectations. I'm not aiming to win or to do a big result. For me, the most important thing is to test and to try new solutions. For me, this 2024 is a transition year in which I'm learning more and more about this hybrid RC Rally car. So let's see. Right now I have the softest non-progressive springs for X-Ray XB4 and I'm waiting because I just bought some harder ones. So now I'm going to test these ones and then I'm going to put some harder springs and let's see which is going to be the best combination. But anyways, this is the first step. So guys, thank you a lot for staying with me till now. Remember to leave a like and leave your opinion in the comment section and see you next week for a new video. Ciao!